Hey Panthers, Coach Bright, broadcasting from the office today. You can see the airplane I flew there a few years back. So today we're talking in week 3, a little late, and we're going to do another call maybe at the end of this week or Saturday to catch up. I know some of you are probably on vacation with your family. Happy 4th of July, by the way. We're talking about the 5-step process for success. This topic is really complex, so like I mentioned in the documents, it's not something you could just think about for an hour and then press on. This is something you want to think about, use over and over, and put a lot of thought into. So let's just start with what the 5-step process is about. Number 1, the paradigm. And the paradigm, although it sounds all touchy-feely and squishy, it is what you think is possible based on what you currently believe. So let's talk about our paradigm for the ball team. Do you believe we can win the championship? Is that something you currently think is possible based on what you see in the team now and the coaches now and the opposition now? So that's the paradigm we're living in. The second step, and I'm going to talk about each one of these in a little more detail. The second step is the possibility. So it's a new reality that you can see yourself overcoming obstacles or blocks. So remember blocks from last week's calls to your potential. So can you see yourself overcoming the block and getting something done? What is the possibility? Then we have potential, step 3. It's your level of consciousness. It's how much energy you can devote to what it is that you want to get done. Number 4 is the action plan and intention. It's the plan you create to get what you desire, and then the intention behind it. And finally, autopilot. That's letting go and letting your gifts shine. So let me break these down. Let's talk paradigm and possibilities for a second. And the example I'm giving you in the text is the use of time. So we all have the same amount of it. How you use it and how you think about it is what's important. So your viewpoint, or in this world, your energetic viewpoint or perspective, it will affect the way you organize and use your time. Let's start from the bottom and talk about 5 different ways to use it. So level 1, that would be that time continuously works against me. I'm at time's mercy. Time owns me. That's level 1 thinking about time. Level 2, remember, is conflict, and that is time is something that I continually fight against, not only to get things done, but get anything done. And also, I try to avoid the inevitable, so of like death or getting in trouble or anything else, as long as you can. So that's levels 1 and 2. Victim to time, conflict with time. Of course, you know by now, working with Coach Bright, that that's not where we want to be. Let's move to level 3, which was justification. This is where you say time is just a natural part of life, and although it's limited for all of us, you can and will develop effective strategies to use it and manage it the way you want to. That's level 3. Level 4 is concern. So at level 4, you might say there's so many ways I can contribute with my time or work with my time or use my time to make sure that I'm making the greatest contribution wherever I want to make it. And then finally, level 5, my time is totally up to me. I can relax and do nothing, or I can create something exciting. It's completely my choice. Time is a gift. So when we start talking about working on mental toughness, this process that we're working on now, we start talking about physical toughness, the process you're working with Coach Zach on. This is all about how you manage your time. I mean, when we left, we had 12 or so weeks before we come back, and a few weeks more than that till November. So the way that you use your time is going to be directly related to what you get done and how much you get done. So whether or not you get what you desire. Then there's some questions I asked you at the end. I want you to go through the workbook that I sent, the 3 or 4 page workbook, and answer those questions, because from those questions comes awareness. Then you can accept whether or not you like where you're at now or not. If you're not, take action. So that's paradigm and possibilities. Then you have potential. So remember, potential is always based on your energy level. It's always based on you being you. And again, it's your level of consciousness. So it's what you're doing and who you're doing it with and how engaged you are with them. And therefore, your energy, the potential you have, will attract people, places, and things. So you kind of have an automatic attractor that's always working for you. Now, the abundance that it brings you can be negative or positive. So if you're walking around carrying a lot of level 2 energy, it's going to bring you an abundance of negativity in your life. And if you're walking around 3, 4, 5, it will bring you an abundance of positivity in your life. And of course, the higher the energy, the more positive the abundance will be. So again, there's questions down there that I want you to look at and take your time and answer the questions. And then these are things I want you to go back and think about over and over again. Then we have intention and action. So remember, your intention is just the energy behind what it is that you want to do or what you're trying to do. It's the message that you give yourself and others about your plan or what you're planning to do. So in other words, intention is how much and what type of energy you have for a particular goal or task. So we're talking about mental toughness and physical toughness this summer. The intention that you have is directly related to what you're going to get out of this. So what is your intent for the summer? What are you going to come back looking like and thinking like? By the way, if you had no blocks at all, and you wanted to, no blocks at all about what you were going to create or an exercise or a task or a goal, and you believe that you can do that goal or that task, then you'll attract success, and it'll be positive success. So finally is the action plan. And the action plan that I want all of us to use is called the SMART goal. We've touched on this before in the locker room, but let me cover them again and show you how they work. So SMART goal is just an acronym, S-M-A-R-T. The S is for specific. Let me give you one that's not specific. I want to make more money. Okay, that's not specific. If that's your goal, you're never going to make more money. If you were to say something like, I want to earn a promotion with a pay increase of 8% annually, that's very specific. And then you can measure it, which is the second. That's the M in SMART. So first, make the goals very, very specific. You may have to break down a big goal into multiple goals to make them specific. So make something measurable. Here's an example. It's general. It's not anything you can measure. I want to write a book. Okay. The measurable goal would be I want to write 10 pages a day of a book until the book is complete in September of this year. That's measurable because at the end of the month you can say I got 8 done or I got 12 done, and you can measure where you are. Then we have attainable, and attainable is it reasonable and attainable? That's the A and the R. So what's important about making sure that it's attainable is it's got to be a goal that's got some statistic behind it. For example, if you said, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a month, well, that's not attainable. Humanly not attainable, at least not in a healthy way. You cut a leg off or something, that may work. An attainable goal would be, I'm going to lose 8 pounds in a month, because that's something the American Medical Association would stand behind. So you'll make sure it's attainable. If you don't make it attainable, you'll lose all the energy behind it. Let me give you an example. If you guys scored 100 points in the game, and you did that two or three games in the row, and then Coach Graves came and said, hey guys, I want to ramp our goal up for total points in the game. And he said, I want you to score 500 points in a game. And we all know that's probably not humanly possible. There's just not enough time on the clock to make 500 points. So your energy level would go to 0 because you know there's no way you could attain it. However, if he were to say, I want you to score 104 points, you've been scoring 100 points, 100 points, 100 points, and then he came and said 104, that's attainable. I mean, maybe 4 more points, 2 more shots, or shot in a foul, a 3-pointer and a foul shot. So that's something that is attainable. But you've got to remember, if you set a goal that's not attainable and you know in your heart you're not, energy will go to 0. There'll be no fire behind trying to get it done. The R stands for realistic. And so this is something that is really common sense. You've got to think about whether or not what you're trying to do is realistic. The example I give is run a marathon. You just go out there. If you're not a runner, you just say, I'm going to go out there and run a marathon. It's not realistic. But if you said, I'm going to go run a marathon after completing some kind of a training program with a coach, then that is realistic. And then finally, the T is time orientation. Again, this is one that's a showstopper for energy. I'll use the same example. If you said, pick a player, Jabri, how many foul shots can you make in 1 minute? And Jabri said, okay, I can make 6. Or somebody's rebounding for me. You go, okay, and we do it. And he makes 6, and he's wide open shooting, and he makes them all. And then I went right back to him and said, okay, I want you to do that same thing, but now I want you to do it in 10 seconds. Well, that time orientation doesn't work. So that's one way time orientation's got to make sense. The other way is the time orientation is a completion date or completion time, so that the individual that's being given the task knows what the expectations are for completing the task. For example, if you had a teacher one of your professors and they said, hey, I want you guys to write an essay on, playing basketball. And you said, fine, I got that. And the very next class, you went into her or him and they said, where's your paper? When it turned in, the student might say, well, I didn't know it was due today. You didn't give me a time orientation. So it's important from time orientation, two things. One, that it makes sense that it can be done in that amount of time, but also that we understand the time. So one time orientation you got right now is we got a ball game November the 8th, and we got to be ready. So between now and then, I want you to set SMART goals up around at least two things. One is your mental training, and two is your physical training to make sure we get there. Guys, I'm available. It's Bruce at OnTargetLeading.com, 205-919-6829. If I can do anything for you guys this summer, other than the calls that we're making, please let me know. And if you have a question or a comment or concern that you don't want to say in public on the call today, just email me, and I'll answer you one-on-one. All right, guys, time to roar. Go Panthers.